Welcome back to the Hermetic Podcast. We are having back on our regular guest, Hadron. He would like to talk about UFOs, how it connects to the higher self, health, longevity, and how living a healthy life can improve one's practice. So, what would you like to say on this, Hadron?
Well, I guess we can start with the UFOs. I noticed that you want to talk about Sea City Ranch and the other one, um, Skinwalker Ranch. We obviously know that Skinwalker Ranch has a hostile entities, and the one at Sea City has friendly entities. Sea City Ranch are more likely to be amazed and entangled with phenomena. I think they like to be watched. They are actual creatures in the air. I don't think they're aliens and actual craft that just spend all their time trying to entertain. It doesn't seem practical. And they're out at night. You know, if they're real aliens from another planet, they'd obviously have something better to do than show off and zigzag back and forth. But these are beings that are delighted to be having attention. So Sea City Ranch can even be booked. I've heard people book to go on there, you know, to go out there to ranch for a fee. The one at Skinwalker Ranch is more hostile. I think it's the same kind of life form, but wants to be left alone. These are plasma entities. The Skinwalker Ranch, I think, is more of a ground base and isolationist. I like to refer to them as jinn. Everyone can do whatever they want in their own mythos, spirits, jinn, whatever. But they've been known to produce very special effects and even harm people. Whether they project a saucer in our mythology, a helicopter, you know, for MIB or whatever things, little miniature dinosaurs, werewolves, radiation burns, uh, orbs following you back home. They really want you to get out. So I would never go up to Skinwalker Ranch if you paid me, because if they want to be left alone, they can really harm you if you don't leave them alone. Um, but yeah, I'd like to. If money were no object, well, shoot, who would not want to go to Sea City Ranch to see them? Take your infrared camera to see more. A lot of infrared is easier seen than the naked eye. Many see it with the naked eye, but infrared shows much more because they like to vibrate in infrared much more than open sight during the day and the night. Of course, on a sunny day, you got the heat interfering, uh, but so do it at night. And I think even in your own neighborhood, infrared would be a good idea where you can catch things.
So, you mentioned that these things at the City Ranch might be similar to the Jinn. What is your experience with the Jinn? You said something in a previous call about having an item that they are connected to. So expand on that, and then we'll try to see if we can make some connections between the Sassetti Ranch and the Jinn that you have.
Yeah, the gin I have, I asked them to project a special effect. I've had them for a few years, both of them, and they have produced aerial phenomena in the sky, up in the clouds, like shadows. One produced an oval, the other one produced a triangle. It looked like it's shadows moving through the clouds, and it's truly, truly, seemingly extraterrestrial. And I asked it, and within 24 hours, it projected because they hinted that go out, watch again, and then it's within 24 hours they produce the effect. And I that for demonstration, I've asked them to enter my dreams. They'll enter my dreams at least a good once a month. They may be more because sometimes they can appear as beings where you don't register as them. Uh, but of course, I think when you go dreaming, you can encounter all kinds of people, astral people, parallel timelines, you name it. So the dream world is not limited to spirits you're familiar with, and sometimes certain dreams are just your imagination. Um, but yeah, these they've also appeared live where one of them likes to dance, and I've even had another witness to it. Uh, my wife has seen it at night where it looks like someone's dancing around the wall, and I was like, I couldn't see it, but she could. She's seen it like about 3 times, and so they'll show themselves to you in ways, but they're not bound Jin. I don't believe in bounding any spirits or any life forms because they're easily more powerful, I think, than a human being. And I think it's truly, truly arrogant to sit there and bound a spirit. you're going to get more out of them by being friends, allies. It's about respect. And I think if you're disrespectful to jinn, they're going to shut themselves off in communication. And why develop hostility when it doesn't have to be? I got them to become my friends and my allies. One big myth is that jinn, they make all your dreams come true. No, they help you manifest, but it's not necessarily, oh, you're going to be a millionaire, you're going to do this. It's more on subtle things that they have. They don't work with egos well, and I imagine a jinn can make you rich, but if that's all you do, you're not going to have a true friendship. But these are entities that have been around a long, long time, and every jinn has a vast lifespan. I mean, like for your 100 years, they can live 100,000 years. So they have a huge lifespan. Many of them don't like people, and some of them do. And they do live parallel lives on their plane of existence. You know, I
So,
like to call this is the plasma field.
so besides the phenomena that you were able to witness up on asking the Jinn to provide evidence that it could do such a thing, other than that, how does this help your practices? How does it help you learn more about reality or how to affect it? How do you what do you get out of this besides just that? Just wanting to see.
I've learned more to be more in friendship, and I think the real honest truth is they're there to protect you, make sure you don't, if you get in an accident, you don't get harmed, make sure that you get the best of situations and not the worst, and that's the best way to do them. They may like spices, they may like aromas, and you know, if you care about them, ask them, hey, what do you need? What can I do for you? Don't always wish and tug on them. What is it you need? Because it will become a shallow friendship, a one-dimensional friendship, not authentic. So I do think it's good to have allies on the astral plane, or I like to interpret it as the plasma plane, because these allies can help make sure that if a burglar comes in or something happens, you know, they help avoid worst case scenarios, and that's what I get out of them. I don't really use them for magic. I don't believe in it. If they want to show off or do something, they can, but it's more of a friendship and an alliance for a lifetime. And so my own magic, I like to say I'm a natural magician. I don't live the life of a magician. I live the life of like wonderment, where I'm always researching something, always trying to inquire, always trying to figure out, was this real in ancient times? What's real and what's not? And I do know my magic works by what I believe, not necessarily what's real or what's not. I do think that if I believe something, I can do something. But I don't. I have learned a long time ago, which just take too long to explain, that I don't do projective magic. I don't do show off magic. I don't do things to prove ego on a large scale. I've been tempted to with some projection before that I've said on there, but I try to keep it local. I also have a definition that a lot of magic is sometimes misidentified terms, like an example of magic, like a green witch. A green witch is really about knowledge of herbs more than anything. Or when a woman wore lipstick, she's trying to entice a man to be more attracted to her. Well, these things are considered magic.
All
So
right.
I do think that magic can have it depends on your definition of what century you live in.
All right. So, they help you in everyday life by making more favorable events occur. Would you say that that is a good way of saying it?
Yeah, being an ally, like having a bodyguard,
All right, fair enough.
it
So,
helps.
going back to the Sassetti Wrench, do you think that any of these beings that they see in the sky are capable of doing such things, or that they would even be able or willing to, or do you think the people that are going up there are just going for a spectacle and that they're not actually going to be able to get anything practical out of it?
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just verification that we're not alone, but that we have a higher life form in our atmosphere, plasma life forms. And I do think that some of these plasma forms, they can come from other dimensions, other worlds, if not other planets. They can, but there's no rules about where they come from. But I do think that they're naturally here with us, and they're ultra terrestrials. They've been here for hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions. They have families, they have civilization, they have societies. They live in caves, they live in the sky. They have They have things just parallel to us, but on more on a plasma astral level. And if you want to go to see SETI, it's not like you invite one, hey, come on home with me. They have their communities. They're there with each other. Their relatives flying, their relatives and friends and families fly in the sky for you, and they can make contact with you, or if they come close, they can create things that may be pleasant to you. Like if you want to see a little fairy, they can. There has been a testimony I've heard where someone at the sea SETI where they thought they saw a fairy. One of these lights came down and it posed as a little fairy. But it's not that because they are actually look just like that. They observe your imagination and they can read your mind and pose of what you fear and what you are pleased by. If they want to, they can shapeshift to what they want to emotionally relate to you. And if the thing with the sea settings, they're friendly. The things that walk a ranch, skinwalker ranch, they're not friendly. They want to be left alone. They're not social. So I wouldn't count on gathering something and taking something home. That's their home. You're visiting their home area.
So, in an earlier talk, you were talking about how you saw projections in the sky of things like grays and that it was somehow linked to your higher self. Do you think that these beings are in any way able to interact with you at that level, or are they linked to the higher self, or how do you think that sort of thing works?
That's exactly why I think they are versions of a higher self. You're looking at their higher self, and it's hard to see or manifest your higher self while you're in biological form because your higher self is using biological form to communicate in a biological world. But we all have higher selves, and that's why I look at Jinn is they are higher selves themselves, and they can incarnate. I do believe that Jinn can incarnate. In fact, I think my bloodline does have a link like that. I like to call them family and home. And let's say if I ever became disincarnate or extended, they'd be the ones I'd like to dwell with. So your home, when you're born, you had a home. We all did, and I do think that sooner or later, if your spiritual guidance is right, you do find your way back home. Because your family's there waiting for you. Not the family you knew as your biological, but you had a family before, family and friends. And I think that's where magicians they have family and friends in high places, and it never leaves you. If you really have a seeking to want to be a magician, it's because you already came from a magical world.
All right, so how does all this tie into the health conversation that you also wanted to have on this episode? Just curious.
Well, to sum it up, a healthy magician is a powerful magician. Um, I do think that magicians should not get into it for ego or power, but power is just a natural byproduct. It should be more into, hey, you naturally recognize yourself as a multidimensional being. Well, while you're in a biological phase in this frequency, what's the point in not taking care of yourself? You're just opposing nature. You might as well be healthy because it's cheaper to get healthy than to be miserable and not healthy because you're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars in a year if you're not healthy doing cancer treatment, whatever. You might as well just go ahead and spend hundreds of dollars trying to keep yourself healthy. Go organic when you can. Eat your meat. Don't do anything excessive. Obviously, you want plenty of vegetables galore, methylate. So you need. I do think that getting things that help methylate the body, uh, like um, like sauerkraut, organic sulfur, also known as MSM powder. Breathe deeper. We do a lot of shallow breathing. We need to do heavier breathing or deeper breathing. Not all the time, but don't forget how to breathe deeply through your nostrils and out your mouth. And we often forget throughout the day. You don't have to breathe it like 24/7, but don't forget to breathe like every now and then, like maybe every hour, every other hour. Why don't you do some deep breathing? But you don't have to get obnoxious with it and just do it for 5 and 10 minutes unless you just feel like you want the energy. But let's not forget deep breathing. We're shallow breathers. Um, I also think that we should stay away from Wi-Fi. Go back to internet that's not Wi-Fi. There's no need to entangle with extra dimensional, or I'm sorry, let me take that back. Extra frequencies that are harming your cells and aging you faster. I do think that there is a danger of 5G, 6G network. We got to be careful how we're exposed. And if you have no control of it, carry a crystal. And then also, like a nice quartz crystal, leave it in the sunlight and carry it with you so you can have a little bit of plasma with you, a little scalar wave. Uh, we're in touch with sine waves. I think sine waves, I call them sin waves, waves that go up and down, normal frequencies. Well, it rips our cells apart. It makes us age. If you get in touch with scalar waves, which are like contract, they contract or they implode. If we get back into that nature, we could start prolonging our life and being more one with spirits. So your consciousness is really an implosion thing. Like if you want to develop your third eye or expand your consciousness, you got to implode your plasma field, and then it'll expand in so many other ways. And if we, so often people think the flesh is supposed to be opposed to the spirit. No, they're two sides of the same coin. Why oppose them when you can put them together? That we're multidimensional beings. I think. See, a lot of people think that the flesh is a temporary thing. Well, that would be how immortal thinks. I think we're in an unfallen state. Flesh can be extended. You can transmute it. And so I do think spirit and flesh is the whole point of unifying them together to get the best of all worlds and to get the best out of your ascension.
So, do you think it's fair to say that the healthier you are, the more likely you are to be able to commune with such things, such as the beings at Sassetti Ranch or your higher self or whatever astral beings that you want to communicate with?
Right. I do think that the more in touch you are with the higher self, the more higher self beings can see that. And so I do think that we do. I mean, in a way, the universe doesn't have a moral compass. It doesn't have to. But I do think if you do take your moral compass and try to be a good person, that does create superconductive higher self healing, a higher self connection. I do think being a genuinely good person, try to be a better person, a good person in every situation. You know, one does not have to be a jerk. If you're a jerk when you don't have to be all the time, you're obviously out of context of the higher self. The higher self is a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. I think the higher self can be a negative thing to you if you're out of alignment with its goodness that it's wanting you to be. That's just my opinion. Um, I think you don't have to go out and be a saint and do soup kitchens every day, but if you're in a conversation with people, try to be presentful. Try to be the as good person as you can, and you have a higher chance of extending higher self. Nutrition creates more superconductive, multidimensional fibers with connecting to the higher self. So I just think it'd be intuitionally counteractive. Why not be friendly with nutrition, enzymes, the microbiome, get the bacteria, the good bacteria in you. And you don't have to be a health guru or you kind of miss the point because people who are extremists at getting good health, I don't think they live as long. But just be casually good health. Just be conscious. If you don't give a crap about your health, it's going to show. But if you want to live a long time, be in moderation with everything you approach.
All right, I think that's some pretty good practical advice. If you want to be a better magician, try to make your body healthier. That's pretty fair. And I believe that every magician can apply this to their everyday life. I would like to thank you for coming on, and I look forward to having you again. It's nice to have practical topics like this being discussed on the channel. This has been the Hermetic Podcast, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.